Let's talk about Stephen King's Dollar Baby program. I'm a Dollar Baby filmmaker myself, so I can tell you from the inside. Hi, my name is Julia Marchesi. I am a lifelong constant reader who's read everything Stephen King has written, and I got to adapt one of his stories, my favorite of his, I Know What You Need. It's from Night Shift. It was first published in Cosmopolitan magazine in 1976, and I got to shoot on location at the University of Maine, where the story, set in 1976, is an after-school special kind of vibe. It won awards. It played at Comic-Con and at KingCon, and it playing on Arrow's Player right now, or you can also message me if you want to see it. So what is the Dollar Baby program? The Dollar Baby program ran from 1977 to 2024, and it was a program in which you could buy the rights to certain short stories by Stephen King for $1 for 1 year and make a film out of that. Now the contract is quite restrictive. It has to be 45 minutes or under, and it has to be non-profit, non-broadcast. So what that means is that you cannot make money from it, and you cannot sell it. You cannot put it online publicly. Now Stephen King actually made an exception for my film to be on Arrow's Player, generally against the contract rules. That's not allowed. So this was always a thing about not making money off of him, but letting his name help you. Because if you submit to a film festival and it says, oh, it's based on a story by Stephen King, of course it's going to get a better recognition, and he knows that. The contract was also quite restrictive about the wording, so I wouldn't be able to say Stephen King's I Know What You Need. Stephen King's before the title generally means that he wrote the script. Not always, mainly, and I think there's reasons why this is now very strict about this. So I could say I'm adapting Stephen King's short story, I Know What You Need, but having it in the title means something different. So in case you want to know that, because he doesn't want people sitting on his work. Has a very high turnover. You get the rights, you have this time period to make it. If you don't make it, it goes to somebody else. So this was a way of ensuring that the rights would never change. So when the Dollar Baby program was running, when I applied, there was a list on his website of the amount of stories you could choose from. It was like 25 stories you could choose from, and then there was basically an application email that you could send in. So I Know What You Need was not on that list. I sent in an email, and they sent it back, the contract, the next day, the Dollar Baby contract, and I was astonished. And so it was only a year contract, so you have to get working like right now. Because most Dollar Babies are under the contract of nonprofit, non-broadcast, it's not possible to see most of them online. So over the years, you can imagine, over the last almost 50 years, there's been hundreds of these, and of all varying degrees of professionalism and quality and adaptation, and they really give you no artistic feedback. You can take the story and do whatever you want with it. You can spin off into another universe if you want. They give you no feedback on that. It's your choice to do whatever you want to do, which I think is really, really cool. The coolest thing about the contract is that it states that you have to send a finished copy of the film to Stephen King to watch. So you know that he is watching everything you're doing. Your end goal making this film is that Stephen King sees your work. Can you imagine? So it is, but how awesome is it for him, for after all of these years, the program ran for nearly 50 years, that he still wants to see other people's interpretations of his work. And it is fascinating, I'm sure, for him to see his work filtered through other people's eyes. So this is a completely selfless thing that he's doing to give artists a leg up, basically, because he's interested to see how other people interpret his art. It's incredible. It helps so many filmmakers over the years, including Frank Darabont. Yes, Stephen King met Frank Darabont, who you might know from The Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, or The Mist, because Frank Darabont made an incredible adaptation of The Woman in the Room, in which Stephen King saw, they became friends, and that history was made. So it really has been the doorway to so many other art projects. In fact, some of the other Dollar Baby filmmakers that I met at KingCon in 2024 are all gathered together to be putting out a short story anthology coming forward. So it's art begetting art begetting art. I mean, the Stephen King joy never ends. So there's not really a huge way to see all of these films. These are films that are kind of secret, but the Dollar Baby community that I've been in touch with have been so lovely and so supportive, and everybody wants to show you their film. So a lot of filmmakers will send you a link if you want. If you ask, I'll send you a link to mine if you'd like to see it. Let me know if you have any other questions about the Dollar Baby program. Long days and pleasant nights, gunslingers. All things serve the bean.